Just a few weeks ago, I spoke to a group of students at Cary. I'm out there every trimester. And I asked the class of students what they could tell me about their classroom management course. What could they tell me about specific strategies and interactions that they learned that they could use? There was silence in the room.
This university, standing behind me, the first time in Mississippi that I think it's groundbreaking that we've had a university now talking about this and actually endorsing putting an end to paddling.
I asked some of the C&I professors specifically about social and emotional development and guidance, how guidance should be consistent with what we know about children and their development. And they told me that was embedded in a methods course.
And I came with this wooden board that I was issued on my first day as a teacher, okay? And I was 21 years old, just out of college, having to teach 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. And I asked someone, I can't remember the professor's name, but this person is professional, the proper way to hit. And they can't. They cannot. I mean, the person was just shocked and dumbfounded. First of all, and this is my critique of the education department here on campus, but that but there were professors and just workers in that department that were unaware that this was going on. So how can this be the highest paddling state on percentile in the country, and they not even teach the proper way to hit? Because, I mean, this was something flabbergasted. Now, again, I'm not majoring in education like my friend Tim. I just came out of political science, and they just needed someone in to fill a role because there isn't really a uniform standard, particularly when you're dealing with kids who are in alternative school settings. So you have a mixed bunch right there. So they told me to hit. And this was my classroom management 101. This was an insult to my education. No one has told me any proper way to this day how to hit, and that's the question that I think should be before us. Thank you.
Mississippi, by the way, has the dubious honor of being the state with the highest percentage of students receiving corporal punishment.
A lot smarter than that, okay? Kids can figure out, wait a minute, you're telling me this, but you're doing this. So which do I tend to more, what you're telling me or what you're showing me? And what we tend to do, and what kids tend to do, or people tend to do, is we tend to pay more attention to what somebody does rather than what somebody says. So when I was a teacher in the classroom, in our programs, we never used corporal punishment. Matter of fact, I'm a believer that I'm even against expulsion and suspension in school, because in our programs we always believe that if a child's not at school, we can't educate them, and that child has a right to an education. And so if they're not at school, and I talk to people all over the state of Mississippi about, you cannot suspend, expel kids, you cannot paddle kids. If you paddle kids, then you lose their trust, you lose that relationship. How can you listen to somebody and learn from somebody that you fear? You can't learn in a fearful environment.
Patient attention. We have information on the back table over there. We have refreshments. Thank you again for coming, and have a great rest of the evening. I want to thank our sponsors, the Hitting Stops Here, Mississippians Against Paddling, and the U.S. Center for Human Rights and Civil Liberties. Also,
we're out at the Capitol hoping to put an end to corporal punishment in Anguilla. The organization, the Hitting Stops Here, lined downtown sidewalks to voice their opinion. The Anguilla School District is one of the few remaining districts that still uses corporal punishment. Protesters say this method is outdated and they want change.
We in Mississippi are among the last remaining schools that still use this ineffective brutal practice. And I don't want to be, when I get out there next year to become a teacher, you better not put a paddle in my hand because you are insulting me as a person.
The organization plans to make several stops in the metro area this weekend.